Hello, everybody. It's Saturday, September 21, 2024. I just signed on. We'll see. Let's see. It's a 10:21 p.m. So I'm a little bit late. It's going to start at 10, but I wanted to make a hot chocolate and then go through my book and see where I left off. I'll wait a few minutes and see if anybody receives the notifications that we're live. We're going to read MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control, Vol.1, where we left off. MK Ultra 2.0, experiments in the 21st century included. So I hope everybody's doing okay on this Saturday. It's extremely humid here, very yucky. And of course, the criminals. Well, you know what? I'm not going to call them criminals anymore. I'm so programmed to calling them criminals. They're predators. Pops. They're predators. Predators on patrol, pops, and then the mops, morons on patrol, and the wops, the witches on patrol, the cops, or the criminals on patrol. Hi, I see two people. Welcome, welcome. Saturday night chat. So we can chat for a while. I'll wait for people to come in. And if you want to leave a comment to tell me that you can hear me, I'm going to read some segments from the book MK Tech by Felipe, Saboya, de Santa Cruz, Abreu. Hi there. Targeted Christian. Hi, welcome. I hope you're doing okay. And yes, Christians are being targeted, that's for sure. I don't know what's with these people. They're just psychopaths. Anybody that's not like them, anybody that's different than them, anybody who has different ideas and opinions and lifestyles, they target. These people are psychopaths. They have personality disorders. They don't think the way we do. And a lot of these local morons, they get their barking orders from fusion center operatives. So we'll see if people are going to get a message that I've gone live. I know a lot of people have mentioned that they've been typing comments in the comments section of some of the videos, and they're just not appearing. And it's happened to me. I've actually responded to people, not only on my own channel, but on other people's channels, and the comments just don't show up. Welcome. Welcome into the chat. Welcome, welcome. Oh, good. I'm so glad you can hear me. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking so loud because I don't know if you hear me because I'm talking through my laptop, and I feel like I can even feel it strained on my voice, like I'm pushing my voice, speaking like a little bit above the sound that I would normally talk, like if you were right in front of me. Hello, everybody. I see that there are 5 people. If somebody wants to just write a little message there, tell me who's in the chat there. Welcome, welcome. I know it takes a while, like after I go live, it takes a while for the notifications to go out. May take a few minutes. And then even though the notifications go out, you might not even see the notifications, or you might be doing something else and see the notifications later. But it is Saturday night, and I know, like, listen, if you're a real targeted person, you've got nothing else to do anyway. You're not going on any hot dates. Hello, hello. It's Saturday night, 9/21/24, and I'm going to be reading. I'll start in a little while. Let's see. We're only like 4 minutes in. Maybe when we get to just a little bit past 5 minutes, I'll start reading. 5 or 6 minutes in, I'll start reading the book. Like, usually when I start reading and then people start rolling in and having chats and talking to me, I don't like missing, the comments that people are writing while I'm reading. So anyway, it's Saturday night. What's that song? Oh, another Saturday night and I ain't got nobody. Man, even if I wanted to have a date, there is nobody here that I'd even remotely want to date. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys an update. Hi, Echoes. Hi. I wanted to give an update on that news that I reported yesterday about the sheriff that shot the judge. Now, this is just a rumor that's going around, and of course, rumors can go around when the person has already been deceased, right? So he can't very well defend himself. The rumors that are going around is that the judge was dating or seeing or did something to the sheriff's 17-year-old daughter. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. And of course, anybody could say anything after somebody passes. I know. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but these criminals, what they do is, I don't know if this happens to you too. They use radio frequencies and they put me to sleep, and the worst possible times. And then I could be in the middle of watching a video, in the middle of doing something. They love to interrupt your train of thought, whatever it is that you focus on. I find that even when I start focusing on something, it's like they know, and it's like they send that information to my phone, and I'll get some prank phone call. I got a prank text message from Border Patrol that my package couldn't be delivered because they don't have the right address. It's like, you're kidding me, right? So, you see a message like that, you do not respond to, you just automatically delete it, possibly get a screenshot. I got a screenshot of it and then I deleted it. There's no reason why Border Patrol would have any package that belonged to me. But yeah, like they keep us up. They like to keep us up late, because the witching hour, the witchy poo hours, the wops, the witches on patrol, uh, you know, it's their witching hour is like 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. But then they wait for you to go to sleep and then they really ramp it up at around 5 a.m. That's when I find that they do a lot of the vandalism on my property between like 4 and 6 a.m. I hear them. I'll hear them in the back of my house running. It's not like they're walking, they're like literally running on my property. And it's not one person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up where I left off with the book MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control. It's Vol.1 by Felipe Saboya de Santa Cruz, Abreu. And I left off, it was on page 31. And now this heading or subheading is hacking of profiles and passwords from computers, websites, and systems. Hi, Ace of Cups. How you doing? I wasn't sure, how quickly the messages go out that I go live. I was going to get on around 10, and I made it a little bit late. Doesn't that I gave a little bit of an update there. That I mean, now again, this is all hearsay. This is all after the fact that the judge is dead and he can't speak for himself, so he can't confirm or deny that this is true. That the sheriff discovered or something that the judge was doing something to a 17-year-old daughter. I don't know if they were having an affair. I don't know what the story is, but the one thing I know, and it happens in these small towns, is that a lot of times they make these deals, sheriffs and judges and stuff, where they know that, you know, they're passing around their daughter, right? And the daughter is underage and stuff because they want to get in good with somebody in a position of authority and control. And a judge is above a sheriff, I believe. Um, so, but we don't know that for sure. There were just some people that were leaving me little messages. That's what happened. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. I have to tell you, I feel like I'm living in the twilight zone. Please bring me back to civilization. I mean, part of my torture is, living with people who are just so in the backwoods. I can't tell you. Literally in the backwoods. I am in the woods. No, they're bullies. They're very immature. I mean, a lot of these stalkers are. I mean, I can't say that the ones in New Jersey were any more mature. The difference between the perps in New Jersey and the ones here are that they had a higher standard of living, and they always, everybody dressed well, so it's very different. I mean, they're living in $600,000 homes, so there's a big difference of standard of living, um, the way people behaved, and the kinds of harassment that I received in New Jersey was very different than here. In New Jersey, no one would ever, because literally all the neighbors would know, throw an IED on your driveway. That would be off the charts. That would not happen. Nobody would let their dogs run wild because it is against the law in New Jersey. They will pick up that dog in a heartbeat because that's a big money making business in New Jersey. They pick up your dog. If you want your dog back, well, you got to come and get it. And you've got to, not only you're going to get a fine. I don't know if it was $100 or $200. You're going to get paid a fine. And then you have to pay a fee from the animal shelter. Hi, SDL. How are you doing? I'm going to be reading portions of the book, but it's just describing the difference in the perpetrators between Kentucky and New Jersey, and the targeting is horrific both places. But there are things that happen to me here that are totally off the charts that they would never be able to do in New Jersey ever. Yeah, it's very isolating here. It's very isolating. I mean, the one thing about New Jersey is, they can't co-opt everybody. The population is too large. And I had been living there for so long that sure, they can infiltrate, certain things, but they can't get everybody, so they have to set up people around you, like the criminals that they moved in next door to me, diagonally across. So it's very different here in rural Kentucky because everybody knows each other anyway. Everybody's related to each other. So they're all in on it. And it's like one big dysfunctional family here. That's the way I see it. Yeah, they do mess with the air conditioning. Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? The best thing to do is to unplug everything and like let it reset when they mess with your electronics and stuff. Sometimes though, they'll mess with them so bad that they short circuit them and they won't work again. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, SDL. It's just the whole program is just off the charts ridiculous. Um, it's just ridiculous. Yes, and Paul, it's good to speak to you on the phone this afternoon. Um, I don't know if any of you guys are interested. I mean, I thought it was interesting and it'll probably be discussed in further. I don't want to discuss it too much now, but targeted justice. By the way, I don't support targeted justice. I appreciate the fact that they have a nice website and they that they have good information on their websites, but there are other websites out there that have just as good information, but they're just not getting as much funding. like these other smaller people who've created websites, they're not getting the kind of funding that they're receiving, or the kinds of donations, or uh, I don't know, volunteers to help them out. So, but I appreciate the information that they're putting out there. But I received a notification today that they have 4 new officers. Yeah, well, the unfortunate thing, SDL, is that even though I've been targeted since like 2009, around there, I had no idea what it was until 2017. That's when I actually found Ella Fraud, and I had her interview me, and I started getting on the calls and listening to what everybody was saying, just to hear what's going on. And of course, I had no idea. And some of the stuff that I heard was bizarre and off the charts. But the one thing was, I did join Targeted Justice, and I paid my membership fee back in like 2017 or 2018. And I remember when I demonstrated the things that were happening to me. Um, what's her name? Doris. Doris Klaus. Um, what's her name? Midge Mathis. Alias. They all have aliases. They all have different names. But anyway, she told me that she thought that my targeting was off the charts. That she'd never heard, like when I described what was happening, she'd never heard that having happened to anybody. Um, but then after that, I found out that she was actually talking about me behind my back to a woman who is now deceased, Linda Costanza, who I was friendly with. And the only reason I know this is because after I moved to Kentucky, I called Linda. She told me to call her. So I called Linda, and she says, "Oh, I've got to, place you on hold. I'm on the phone with Midge." So I said, "Okay." So she didn't realize that I heard what she was saying. Midge was talking negatively about me to Linda, and Linda was agreeing with her while I'm on the phone. And Linda was horrified because Linda was a really good person, and she was just like going along to get along with Midge, because I don't know why, but she was like profusely apologetic that I'd overheard that nonsense. But it just confirmed in my mind that what a bitch she is, okay? I don't know her from a hole in the wall, but here she is slandering me to Linda Costanza on the phone. And this is when I'm in Kentucky. I had just moved here in 2019. It was in 2019. And I had actually requested of the old Targeted Justice, when Midge was an officer, their financials, because when you have a 501c3 nonprofit, and you're a public nonprofit, anybody can ask to see their financials. Anybody could ask them, how many donations did you get, how many members do you have. They don't have to disclose who the members are, but they're supposed to provide you with this information within 30 days. If they don't provide it, and you could report them to the IRS, and they would lose their nonprofit status for not providing the information. Okay, so they never responded to me. I would ask and ask. And by the way, and this is true story, when I came into the community in 2017, none of those groups had their nonprofit status. Only one of them had already applied for it, but they didn't apply for it until after I got into the community. I guess because I would say that I was a nonprofit, they all started applying for it at that time. And that's true. They had no nonprofit status. So anyway, I wanted to say that, they've got 4 new officers. The first one that I saw, was a younger woman. She's targeted for 3 years. She's got a dog, and she's got her career and married and everything. And then there's the other woman. She's got multiple careers, and she doesn't even look like she's targeted. She looks like perfectly healthy, and all her hair and everything. Let me see. Let me just see. So classes, they do something offensive. Um, let me just read some of your. Yes, a lot of TIs warned you not to trust them. Well, I mean, I could say a lot more, but they're highly litigious, by the way. They have actually sued targeted people. Fact, I have the lawsuits to prove it. Um, Almost none of who you're talking about seem to get actual. That's exactly right. Now, see, the thing is, for somebody to say that they're targeted, usually you're being followed. People are breaking into your home. They're moving things around. They're vandalizing it. They're stealing things. They're harming your animals. You walk into your house and then suddenly your pets are hiding and you don't know why. Your clothes will start to have little cuts and tears in them. They start letting out the seams in your pants and your sleeves. They'll start slicing things and bleaching things. They start slicing your floors, your carpets. They'll go into your linen closet and tear up your towels. None of those people have ever had interviews discussing these things, ever, ever. They only talk about V2K and they lie. I mean, just lie. So anyway, so they've got these four new people. Now, this is really curious. You saw that she's on her targeting happens. That's true. That's absolutely true. That targeting happens in many ways. It happens very differently, and it does happen over time. That's absolutely true because what's happening to me now was not happening to me 10 years ago. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Well, anyway, so now, and this, I have to figure out where I have seen this face before. They have a new officer who worked for the FBI. Now this woman, it doesn't say that she's targeted. She's just a volunteer. She's got like 3 or 4 different degrees, career and everything. She can't possibly be targeted if she's in all these programs. Um, and then work briefly for the FBI. Who goes and applies for a job at the FBI in this day and age? And then leaves the FBI and goes to volunteer for targeted justice. Does this make sense to you? I don't know. This is a little, it baffles the mind. Let's see. You hung up a shirt outside and oh, you hung up a shirt outside and they put glue on it within 2 hours. That is horrible. Well, when I moved here, I was, like, so excited that I was going to be able to hang my clothes outside. It's not that I didn't in New Jersey, but I didn't have a clothesline in New Jersey. I had a clothes rack. And, I could only put out a few clothes at a time in New Jersey in my backyard. But here I put up a clothesline and I was able to hang all my clothes out. I hung my clothes out, and when I picked them up, my all of my shirts had holes in them. Well, exactly, Paul. Exactly. Now, the first woman who claims she's only targeted for 3 years, it's still possible after 3 years to be living a normal life. Um, but, when you get into 5 and 6 and 7, things start happening. They ruin all of your relationships. So, and also, when I look at a real targeted person, you can see it in their face. They look like a torture victim. And I'll say, like, I look at my face and I do not look like the same person that I was when I first moved here. And, this is not normal aging either. They have been targeting my face, they've sliced behind my ears, they've been targeting my eyes since mid May. They've been hitting me in the lower portion of my face to cause it to droop. I mean, it's this is not my genetics. It wasn't my mother's, it's not in my family. This is not normal, it's not natural. Um, well, it's really interesting because so far 2 or 3 people sent me an article. I don't know if you heard about, the most recent Trump, um, rally or whatever, a bunch of people that were standing behind him got assaulted with a directed energy weapon, and they had problems with their eyes. Some of them were became temporarily blind. They had to go to the emergency room. Mike Adams, the Natural News, he did a whole podcast on it that I listened to. I think I'm going to send him a letter and show him my eyes, because that's exactly what they are describing happened to these people is exactly. Hi, chemtrail hater. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I'm going to read some of MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control book, because there's some interesting passages here that I think would be helpful to people, especially if you're newly targeted. But actually, this book, it doesn't matter if you're targeted. This book is so important to everybody in the country, actually in the world, because this kind of technology is it's so invasive, and it creeps up on you, and most people are not aware of it. So Mike Adams did this podcast about the people, like I don't know, there's a handful of people that became temporarily blinded. They felt it was a chemical attack on their eyes. They could hardly open their eyes. They were painful and teary, and that's exactly what has been happening to me since May. Just an FYI, there's no. Yes, I absolutely agree. This is military grade technology. And it wasn't last year, I think it was the year before. I was out at the end of my driveway picking up branches and stuff. I had my wagon with me, and this moron pulls into my driveway, waits there, and then backs up and goes in the same direction that he was going to go in the first place. And you know what? And I have a photo of it. His license plate said retired army. Retired army. Yep. Yes, if they can't target you, they target anyone around you. Well, they do it to all the animals. It's horrible. It's really horrible. You're okay. Echoes of Infinity says, I'm convinced AI is a tool they use to process our neural patterns and calibrate responses. You know what? That's really interesting. You know what somebody told me? That AI is just so advanced that they really feel that it wasn't even created by us humans. That it was probably created by some other entity. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much of this I believe. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around the technology to begin with. Um, yes. Oh, and Paul, you know what I wanted to tell you about that? We were having that conversation about the forced urination and stuff. Well, after we got off the phone, they did it to me twice. These criminals. Yep. Yeah, AI is basically a demon world. It really is. It really is. And then, at first I thought that like targeted people are being used to program AI, but maybe that's not the case. I don't know. I'm I'm willing to entertain all ideas on that topic. I just don't know. But with when CERN was activated, CERN in Switzerland, CERN, um, they allowed a lot of demonic energy to surface. And the fact that they have the Kali statue in front, this is like nutso. And then they were erecting Baphomets all over the country. Like, who wants to see a Baphomet? It is like the ugliest statue. It's so ugly. It's so demonic. It's so when I was a kid, my mother would take me shopping, in this place called Parkchester. I lived in the Bronx. And I used to be horrified by these gargoyles. It was a very old community with beautiful old um, stone buildings. But at the top of all the buildings were these gargoyles. And I asked my mother, like, what are those things? And she said they're gargoyles. They're supposed to be protecting the buildings. They never looked like they were protecting anything. They just looked so evil. It's not like they were little cherubs, like little wings and little chubby, body. They were just like damn evil looking. And they were stuck to the corners of the tops of all the buildings. They weren't even like gnomes. They were just like horrible little creatures. Oh, same thing with you with that with the urine. They have you lived in Park Chesterfield in 98. Well, I actually grew up in the Bronx. Like everybody thinks that I'm from New Jersey, and I am. I lived in New Jersey for a long time, but I was born in the Bronx. Oh, Parkchester. Yeah. Yeah, my whole family grew up there. I actually lived on Eastchester Road first. I lived on Eastchester Road, and then we moved to Morris Park Avenue around there. And, when I used to cut out of high school, we used to walk to the Bronx Zoo. Yeah, you remember those gargoyles? Oh, it's a Vatican thing? Ooh. I don't know, I just remember as a kid looking up at them and just being totally creeped out by them. And then in New York City, there's a huge library down there, like in the 40 I think it's the 40s, um, around 40 something street. And they have, like, this creature holding a baby, like, holding a child, like a sacrifice. Like, this weird I never really looked at it. I'm never gonna look at any of these things the same after being in this program. All the symbolism and stuff, that's, like, right in your face. It's all over the place. Let's see, yes, in your old country, they didn't have gargoyles. There were no Catholic churches. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's so interesting. Glue. I haven't experienced the glue. Exactly. Once you wake up to the symbolism, you cannot unsee this stuff anymore. It's like it's literally right in your face. So anyway, I'm going to read a little bit and then I'll come back to your comments. So I left off on page 31, hacking of profiles and passwords from computers, websites, and systems. The first systems to collapse will be the authentication mechanisms based on passwords typed by the user, which are precisely the predominant model these days on websites and operating systems. No matter how secure the password, the encryption system or network defenses are, all of this becomes completely useless. The person will always have to think of a sequence of characters to enter the password and will automatically use the vocalized thought. This is the key here, the vocalized thought. Watch the movie They Live. I don't know. I may have seen it. You guys have um recommended some movies, and almost all of the movies that have been recommended I've watched online because you can find the full versions. I might have seen that. I don't know. But one that I did see, now I don't know if it's called Cell or The Cell with John Cusack when he's in the airport and people are listening to their earbuds and then they get this frequency and then they start bleeding and going nutso. It kind of reminds me of these chargers, not these chargers, these pagers that have been going off. Yeah, that was a good movie. Train myself to stop thinking in thoughts. Yeah, I'm too old to try. I mean, I've been thinking this way my whole life. um, let's see. All right, so okay, so let's see here. So the person will always have to think of a sequence of characters to enter the password and will automatically use the vocalized thought. Now, I want to say something about that. A lot of times when we're thinking about something or planning something, we have, or when we're reading, we have what's called subvocalization. We're actually, it's like it's something in our throat that they can monitor, and that's how they read that's how they can read our thoughts, by our subvocalizations. Test it now. Try to create a new password for some website without voicing your voice, your silent thought. Practically impossible, right? Even if the person types the password based on the position of the keys on the keyboard, at some point they will try to remember it internally. The data acquired through social engineering that computer hackers are so dedicated to obtain will be accessible at a glance. Just listen to the target's thoughts, and all the data will quickly be available for use without having to face any kind of resistance, thus starting a wave of cybercrime never seen in history. The solution to deal with the situation will be authentication based on a multimodal biometric information, such as your fingerprints, the iris of your eye, or voice recognition, or even security tokens, or in a two-step verification called two-factor authentication with cell phone use to confirm. Not even a strong password management and creation programs are spared. In addition to not being accessible to those less familiar with such technology, at some point they would request a master password to open the main password database, which would evoke the thought to be created and typed. So we fell into the same problem again. Programs that encrypt folders and files that request a password will also become useless, since the password responsible for decrypting the files can be easily accessed in the individual's mind. Creating strong or weak passwords. Oh, wait. Sorry about that. I've got my alarms going off here to keep me awake. Creating strong or weak passwords becomes completely irrelevant as well. This is another headache for companies to protect their data, considering that anyone can easily discover the password of an important person on their staff and break into the system on their behalf, steal the database, and have access to all the information stored. This is a serious problem because this is the way they can set up employees, saying that the employee did something wrong when basically it was some hacker that set up the employee. Of course, you can take a reference file like a picture and convert it to a hexadecimal format, and that would serve a very strong password. However, this type of procedure is not widespread, and it is possible to find out which file serves as a reference by accessing your thoughts. I don't want anyone accessing my thoughts. So I'm just going to say it out loud right now. Criminals, morons, morons on patrol, witches on patrol, criminals on patrol. I do not consent. You do not have my permission to record, videotape, surveil, eavesdrop, through the wall radar, remote neural monitor, pinhole cameras, me in the privacy of my own home or my property. I do not consent. And neither should you guys. When I state that any computational structure will collapse, it's not a mere uproar. After all, with the possibility of accessing decrypting keys at all time, encryption and information security lose all meaning as it violates the principle of data reliability. The protection of information cannot be guaranteed, much less the confidentiality or authenticity, since we will never know if the parties really are who they say they are. An old principle by August Kirk, Kirchhoff, a Dutch linguist and cryptologist who lived in the 19th century, which is followed to this day, will be violated. And he says the security of a crypto system should not depend on keeping an algorithm secret. It depends only on keeping the key secret. As long as passwords have to go through the brain to be generated, maintained, or have their origin pointed out, our system will continue to fail. Authorities that carried out digital forensic investigation can count on this tool to overcome any password encrypted on files. The digital crime investigators' headaches will be proportionately relieved as the use of cryptology advances among criminals. Until a final viable solution is found, digital anarchy will be fully established. Well, isn't that serious? I have a hard time with passwords anyway. I mean, like most people, we use things that are familiar to us so that we can remember. Because if I can't remember it, I'm going to have to keep changing it every time I get into a website. It becomes like really problematic. So the next subheading here in chapter 2.1 is intellectual property theft, which they do to all targeted people, by the way. There are many unauthorized copies of movies, books, and songs on the internet nowadays. This is a major problem that results in numerous revenue losses for those involved in the project. Now, imagine a very talented person creating their own intellectual property. So, as they research and work hard for long periods of time to write a script for a movie, a valuable project, a book, or a song, and I'm just going to add, like if you're doing your master's thesis, your PhD, in short, anything that is conceived by society that has value is initially created by thoughts and later stored and cataloged on papers or computers. Before the author, extremely satisfied, hopeful, and confident of success, can complete their hard work while preparing for the product for the market, something they came across on the internet makes them freeze in disbelief. It turns out that absolutely everything they created is being sold under the name of a different author who is profiting from their creation. A work that often takes years to complete with enormous added value was patented in the name of another person. They were completely plagiarized and all of their content illegally appropriated. This is a possibility and is already happening due to electronic mind reading, EMR. Gradually, people who had their intellectual work plundered will begin to ask themselves, how did they manage to steal my work before it was finished? Did they break into my computer? The answer is no. Hackers only connect the EMR to a person of interest and leave it 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, copying all the thoughts created, including the intellectual means that made the hacked author reach a certain conclusion in their book, script, or project of any kind. They also steal the creative, cognitive process and product content. And that's why when we're filing our lawsuits, they already know what's going on. They sabotage things. They sabotage the things that we write and type. And I know because they will put me to sleep while I'm, you get into a zone at certain times of the day or night, depending on who you are, and you know what it is. There are certain times of the day when you're in your flow and they will knock me out, put me to sleep. It could be for 20 minutes, it could be for an hour. And then, of course, I wake up, I'm groggy. It's like, where did I leave off? And then I have to start all over again. And to me, it's not only a theft of intellectual property, but it's a theft of time. And time is valuable. And this has actually happens in the community. I've said it before that those billboards that Ella Fraud had, they were not her idea. They were mine. When I came into the community, I couldn't understand why we didn't have billboards. And I was talking to another targeted person via email. And then within a week, Ella Fraud had up billboards. The same thing happened when I was discussing with another um, moderator how the colors were all wrong. Why are they using all these trigger colors? Why are they using red? Why are they using yellow, bright red? These are all trigger colors. Why not use pastels? So we're having this conversation, right? And Ella Fraud changes all the colors on her website to pastel. I kid you not, I never spoke to the girl. But this is what happens. Even in this community, they are stealing our ideas and giving them to other people. So, all right, let's see where. Brace yourselves because intellectual property is in serious danger. Take a good look at the seriousness of this new type of theft. People can illegally download a book, a movie, or song on the internet without paying anything. The famous piracy. But even with financial losses, the product will continue to belong to the real authors, studios, or band that composed the song, for example, which is completely different from illegally taking it over and releasing it as if the product had been written by the thief before it even was completed by the author, the real author. Think about that. Think about what will happen to the author of a book, the creator of a series involving hundreds of millions of dollars, the entire industry and people who orbit and depend on the content to survive. All of this will collapse as well. Nevertheless, the most serious situation will occur when when a consumer without sufficient resources, such as a promising producer, author, composer, or programmer, starting their career by creating great material with the potential to stand out among the great, if the material were stolen straight from the mind, patented and published by the mind hacking scheme, the author would have extreme difficulty in proving by legal means that they were the original author of the idea, that they had been a victim of the theft of thoughts. Imagine being a victim of theft of thoughts. That's absolutely horrible. Just horrible. So then the next subheading is theft of confidential information. Secretive technological projects that involve expensive research and investors, in other words, a lot of money, are always the most targeted. Whether they are a new medicine, a system, an application, a weapon, a concept, or a patent. The biggest fear of companies that develop new and expensive products, including the military, is undoubtedly industrial espionage. By using the electronic mind reading, it is possible to follow day by day the development of the new product and discover absolutely everything about it, thus causing enormous losses for the company. It's even possible to understand how the hacked minded human developer responsible for the product development uses their creativity to reach the final product. This to me is even more disturbing because everybody has a method of coming to conclusions. And some of that is based upon an intuitive hunch. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of intuitive hunches come through the dream state or the semi dream state. And if they're altering your sleep patterns, you may never get into that state of mind where you're remembering your dreams and they're stealing them before you can even have them. Even a large enterprise that believes it's safe by shielding the entire headquarter building is not out of danger. Shielding the building, which is extremely expensive to implement, would block electromagnetic waves from penetrating its interior and prevent the theft of thoughts of its key employees. However, the problem would only be partially solved. As soon as that employee leaves the safe place of work and is heading home, for example, his or her brain is exposed to remote amplification, re-radiation, and thoughts may be stolen. Invariably, this employee will think about how to solve a work related problem, be it on the way home, during a walk in the park, having lunch in a restaurant, exercising in a gym, or during a moment of reflection. This act of naturally diverting the flow of thought during activities that have nothing to do with work, as reported above, comprises the principles that govern the thoughts that make us organize reality, select and privilege certain data, and eliminate or subordinate others, leading us to think about our work and the object desired by thieves. Even a few details that give clues to what is being created, fragments of thoughts, are enough for the purpose of successful industrial espionage. Mind hackers can easily steal the entire project as they listen to the target in their spare time for months. That is why the dissemination of this technology is crucial so that people continue to feel free to think, to let the natural cognitive processes flow, and to not have to worry about hiding the thought on any given subject. The remote violation of thoughts by third parties is extremely serious and sets a precedent that we're not ready to deal with at the moment. That's right, they can't have our soul. Well, that's what they're looking for. That's why, like, when you listen to all these celebrities, and I heard an interview with Bob Dylan, back in the day, Bob Dylan, like when I was growing up, and the interview was asking him, well, how did you become so successful for all these years? And he said, well, he said, I made a deal. And the interviewer's like, made a deal. He says, yep, I made a deal with the devil. I kid you not, that's what he said. Made a deal with the devil. Sold his soul. Sold his soul to the devil. Then there's the theft of credit cards and pins. So get this, you're at home. You're about to shop at your favorite online shopping website. It's a secure site that hardly has any problems with internet payment transactions. You're getting ready to enter your credit card details, but as soon as you start the process of reading the data in silence, such as the numbers, the card security code, or the expiration date, all data will be stolen straight from your head even before you enter the information on the website. Once the numbers are read, you vocalize the thought, an inner voice telling your brain what your eyes are reading. The thought is then captured, amplified, and sent to the mind hackers' computers. This is yet another model that will collapse soon and will make the use of credit card based on security codes as we know it unfeasible. Unfeasible. Sorry about that. Now, the next is ATM withdrawals without biometric fingerprint technology. There are some places in the world that, in addition to requiring your bank PIN to access important services like financial transactions, you must have an access code. and that's usually made up of some letters. So in these places, the security of ATMs that do not use biometric systems is still based on passwords stored in people's minds, which are accessed through vocalization of thought by means of an access code based on the association of each side key of the ATM to list of 5 different syllables. This authentication uses set theory to create a different subset of possible codes for each customer with 25 letters or syllables. As soon as you think of the association of letters to choose at the ATM screen, the information will be easily stolen by this technology operators. To understand the size of the problem we're facing, I propose a challenge. The next time you're at an ATM to withdraw money, try to outwit thought thieves. Let's see how to do this. So, if your hypothetical combination is POTATO, POTATO, try to vocalize it inversely, randomly, or completely different from the actual syllables. Then the set of letters appears, and you're looking at the screen to enter potato. Try it first. First of all, not to think about or vocalize the correct combination before starting the process or choosing a syllable. A hard task to achieve the first time, right? It requires a huge mental effort not to search the memory and transform this data into a vocalized thought, reversing the way the brain normally works. Regardless, each code will appear in 5 sets with mixed syllables. So, for each screen, choose the correct ones. However, think of the others. For example, if your first syllable is PO, locate it on the screen, but think of TO. Although TA is the second correct option, you should think of MA, finally instead of to. Think of low. Try it with your access code combination of an ATM and see if you can trick the mind hackers. Oh my goodness, this is so complicated. Like, don't we just want to feel comfortable thinking the way we usually do without having to outwit somebody who's trying to hack our thoughts? That's a mission almost impossible to be performed. It's extremely complex and difficult as our mind is not used to this type of trick. Reading the letters on the screen, remembering the correct ones, searching for them among the options, and entering them silently as you think of others. This requires years of training. Unfortunately, this combination based security is effective if someone is trying to see what you're typing, and in the case of hidden cameras, intended to record pins and access codes. Nonetheless, it is useless for thought thieves since the sequence will invariably be vocalized before being chosen on the screen or the ATM keypad. In other words, in just one day, you can capture all combinations, pins, and account data for everyone who withdraws money or accesses their bank accounts at a single ATM. Hackers don't even have to go near the ATM to break inside. And in the end, the bank's security completely collapses. This is just so dystopian and disturbing. Yeah, that you know what they think that they're God. They think that they're entitled. They think that they're above the law. They think that they're God. Now this one is really disturbing too. Another subheading is the end of interpersonal relationships. Take an everyday discussion at work or at home as an example. The thought modified by primitive emotions such as momentary anger, ready to be expressed in the face of a common and relatively frequent event in everybody's life. In the heat of a moment, you'd speak your mind. You'd vent to the person whom you discuss everything you don't like about them, everything that's kept inside you, a reflection of the problems of everyday life in society. However, this person is your boss, your wife, or your husband, and it wouldn't be prudent to express yourself that way. Self control would take place, and you wouldn't put these thoughts into words, as you could be fired. Our relationship could end, or even worse. Human behavior must be governed by reason and emotion. Placing too much emphasis on any of the two entities alters the personality. Knowing how to manage reason and emotion is a constant internal struggle in people's lives. But the arrival of EMR changes everything. Well, I'm sure it does. I mean, this is it's so disturbing. The processes that create these thoughts stored in your mind just for you, totally free to move among your brain areas where you can vent about someone else. Everything that's embedded in your strictly private cognitive framework can now be amplified and heard, making it public. Imagine what would happen if both individuals heard such thoughts. Interpersonal relationships in the sphere of life would end. This would create unnecessary confrontations that have previously been avoided, in addition to causing severe distress, as some of the thoughts are associative and we don't control the shortcuts the brain creates to facilitate cognitive processing. These processes exposed in public may be interpreted in a pejorative or unfriendly way, and they can profoundly affect the personality, causing severe states of inner conflict. Oh, well, thank you, chemtrail hater. No, we none of us should consent. And in fact, I need to be stating that more, like in my videos, maybe as a preamble, that I do not consent and to record, videotape, surveil, eavesdrop through the wall radar, remote neural monitoring. I want to control my own thoughts and actions and behaviors, and I don't want somebody else attempting to remotely do that to me or you or anybody else. So now the next little short paragraph is the end of privacy. By using the electronic mind reading, EMR, an individual can hear the thoughts of all the people around them in a short time. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to hear the thoughts of anybody around me. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't, I don't want to hear other people's thoughts. It's one thing to be having a conversation with somebody and they want to share their thoughts with me, share their thoughts and feelings, but to randomly eavesdrop on somebody else's thoughts, I don't want any part of that. Human curiosity about the private life of others is the trigger for the indiscriminate use of this technology at any time. This will soon be one of the reasons for its popularization and miniaturization. Please bear in mind that this isn't the same as spying on someone using binoculars or listening to a third party phone conversation. This technology violates the cognitive processes that define mankind, the product of the mind and our rational thoughts. That is why it is so dangerous and puts all civilized democratic processes at risk. And it's the end of the right to free thinking. Yeah, it's insane. And imagine, okay, imagine this. Now, I don't know if any of you have been married. I've been married, right? And there are times like in your marriage or in your relationship where you just can't stand your partner's guts, for 10 minutes. You just can't stand their guts. And you might be thinking like growling or like, oh, or saying like thinking something about them, like, oh, they're mean, or like get out of here, like, oh, I can't stand you right now, right? But you don't vocalize it, right? Imagine people are reading that, but it's temporary. But the other thing that's even more disturbing is this predictive policing nonsense. If they're reading your mind, it's like, I mean, seriously, I will walk around here some days and I will say it out loud that, Carmageddon's gonna get you, you criminals, like I curse out loud, but I'm doing that to myself. But the fact that these criminals are eavesdropping on my thoughts, they already know it before I say it. They're probably like laughing it off, right? They don't have the right to eavesdrop on my thoughts, your thoughts, or anybody's thoughts. And it is deeply disturbing that in an interpersonal relationship or a romantic relationship that this could be done, and that they could steal those intimate thoughts, that you have in the moment that kind of disappear like 5 minutes later. But they could take that and use it against you, against your partner. And that's even more serious, very manipulative. It's very sinister, very, very sinister. Now imagine having to think before you think. Thinking if you access a certain memory, if you finish expressing a thought, or if you think about the past. With this technology at work, in addition to having to deal with the daily and intellectual activities inherent in life and society, we'll have to think before we actually realize the thought. It's a complex and difficult process to understand for those who aren't targeted or didn't have their brain connected to this technology, thus setting a new precedent in history: the inspection and publication of everyone's private thoughts. It may become a weapon of ideological retaliation and inspection, or of restraint to any type of internal cognitive processes. Let me see. Oh, oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. You say, I could talk to you for hours, Lorraine, or listen to you for hours. How about that? You all need to leave Miss Lorraine alone. She has people praying for her, and no weapon formed against her shall prosper. You hear that, you criminals out there listening to me right now, you pieces of crap? But this occurred to me recently because sometimes, I like to internally reminisce. I've lived a long life at this point, and I have some very fond memories of past situations in childhood, in my teenage years, dating, when I lived in New Jersey and stuff. And sometimes I reminisce just to, remember my old life and stuff. And I laugh, I giggle about it. I'll talk about it sometimes. And to think that these criminals have access to my history when I think about it. When I think about these fond moments, that they can manipulate that, it's so disturbing. We'll be judged by others. Our thoughts will be disclosed even before they become action and are presented in the form of behavior, which would be the last natural action, a very serious fact that leads to numerous philosophical and social considerations that must be faced, including in terms of legal consequences, since the judicial and legislative branches will have to start deliberating on this subject. Well, they should have done this already. And this is what's really concerning to me because, when you hear Elon Musk talk about how um, there needs to be regulations and stuff. But he's been involved in all of this for a very long time, and I think that laws need to be put in place at the time these technologies are created, not after the fact, not years later when there are so many consequences. The laws need to be um, in place simultaneously with the new technology. That's just my opinion. It just takes way too long to get laws passed with all this new stuff. A very serious fact that leads to numerous philosophical and social considerations that must be faced, including in terms of legal consequences. Branches will have to start deliberating on this subject. Knowing the existence of thought stealing directly from people's brains, where would the privacy frontier be? Are thoughts public? I mean, I'm just thinking, imagine two lawyers are in court, right? One's defending one person, one's prosecuting against that person, and their minds are being read beforehand. I mean, this is horrible. Are thoughts public? When people are at home, are the walls of their houses and everything contained therein, in fact, private property? These are new 21st century dilemmas that we'll inevitably have to face as a society. I could spend dozens of pages listing various situations in everyday life that seem innocent at first, but whose context is radically changed with the use of this weapon. And as this book progresses, we're going to understand better what is to come. You can already understand the devastating consequences of this technology in this small initial sample. An authentic weapon of the 21st century, modern electromagnetic weapons that were built to an end, to interact at a distance with the electrical functioning of the human brain, deforming, altering, and stealing the content modulated in this activity, the complex thinking, and the consequences of its functioning, including the corners in which the subjective parts operate, such as logical and abstract reasoning. It's important to bear in mind that EMR, a VI, V is in Victor, I, which is electronic mind reading of vocalized images, is just a fragment, an important subsystem, a module of the MK Tech, mind control technology system. And as we go deeper into the reading, we're going to see the function of each subsystem and its characteristics, as well as peculiarities of its performance in the minds of mammals, acting as an integrated system in which reality becomes stranger than fiction. Then the natural question would be, how does it really happen? How is it possible to amplify my mind's thoughts in a remote and non invasive way? Well, it's a lot. This is like a lot of disturbing information. It's almost like I almost feel like ignorance is bliss at this point. um, yes, I do not consent. I say it often, actually, here when, behind closed doors. I'll just say it out loud. I do not consent. I did it in New Jersey too. I would write it. I actually, I actually wrote a sign on my sliding door to the criminals who were coming into my house. They must have thought it was funny. But no, I do not consent for people to record, videotape, surveil, eavesdrop, through the wall radar, remote neural monitor, implant me, pinhole cameras, harming my animals, implanting my animals. I do not consent. I do not consent to them coming into my home, onto my property. And right now, I guarantee, I will bet my life that there's somebody on my property right now. Right now. Oh, and for the person, if you're in the chat or if you're going to listen to this after the fact, I purchased that spotlight. One of you subscribers recommended a spotlight. Well, I bought it and it works like a charm. When I turn it on outside on my property, I can actually see everywhere in the woods that I couldn't see with my other flashlight. It's wonderful. You live by no brain, no pain. Yes, I do not consent. But anyway, is there any topic that you'd like to discuss? I'm going to stop reading right now because my voice just gets a little bit hoarse. I'm gonna grab my hot chocolate here. I have a hot chocolate. So you guys, do you think, like, when you're being stalked, I don't know where you live, if you live in an apartment building, if you live in a house, like how far apart the houses are and stuff. Do you think that there is somebody, like, around you 24/7? Because I don't know, I think it was last year, and I hear so much information, but I either read it or heard it from somebody, either online. Yes, 24/7. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, they do that. They do hit everybody complains about being hit in the genitals, and, I don't know what's wrong with they're perverts. They're sick perverts. They give, um they give men and women urinary tract infections because they're constantly targeting there. People wake up with burns, like, I had a burn on my breast a couple of times. Um, they cause you to itch. They cause you to scratch areas of your body. I wake up sometimes, I've got scratches, like, not scratches, like a cut. I'll have cuts on my body. I'll get burns just from walking in my house. And then in my kitchen, and this is something that's been happening lately, they're using some kind of radio frequency to cause a popping sound. 100% 24/7. They rented out the upstairs apartment and do a shift change every hour? Wow. Every hour? That's crazy. I've never heard that before. I thought they were in 8-hour shifts. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of people every hour. Okay, I propose a solution to the harassers of innocent people. Allow these people out of their contracts. Whatever is binding them to you in your torture, if they just call in the name of Jesus, set the captives free. Yes, yes, I do not consent. There, that is a lot of people. Wow. See, now it's so different when you live in a house. Like in New Jersey, well, the houses were fairly close together, but I've heard from other targeted people that live in apartment buildings that they have somebody upstairs, downstairs, and one targeted woman in California, when she was living in an apartment, they were constantly playing loud music to her. So what she did, which is quite inventive, I don't even know how she did it because she's this little woman. She took her own recording and, like, a microphone or whatever, and she blasted it. She actually taped it to the ceiling. She taped it to the ceiling and, like, blasted the music to them the ways that they were doing to her. Whenever you let's see, whenever you get ready to go out, they make me want to do a number 2. Yes, yes, they do that to me too. Yes. In Atlanta, they were 4 or 5. Oh, I've tried it, chemtrail hater. I've tried it. When I first moved here, I put it out there that I would love for people not only to come and visit, but, if you have, like, an RV, trail or whatever, come. I've got water hookups, I've got electricity, there are places to park. Um, it becomes extremely difficult. Um, what ends up happening is, 1, the criminals will get to somebody. There's so many perps out there. I had somebody ask me if they could go in with me on my property. It's like, what are you kidding me? I'm not gonna go half on, with my property. You can buy it. You can buy portions of it. You wanna buy it outright, that's fine. I'm selling it. Targets usually I that's what I've heard. They live on the middle floor so that you're sandwiched in between the top and the bottom. Oh, you travel. Las Vegas, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, California, all the time. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. But let me ask you, let me ask you, that's exactly right. Everything is a projection. But let me ask you, since you travel, are there any cities or states that you felt were worse for targeting? Because there's one person who says every time he drives through Kentucky, it's worse in Kentucky. Yeah. Yeah, I want off the list. I want to get all I want off the list. And what I heard is that even when you die, they keep you on the list. Could you imagine? They keep dead people on the list. You say it's all the same? Well, I don't know. I would say that the vandalism, I mean, I'm getting just as much vandalism, but it's a different type of vandalism because of where I live. The harassment here is definitely different than in New Jersey. Totally different. No, like in New Jersey, I didn't get I don't feel like I got like the noise campaigns in New Jersey. They really couldn't do that because the houses were so close together. If they gave me a noise campaign, the whole neighborhood, the whole block would get it. People wouldn't put up with that. Yeah, I want to. I want to. My house is listed for sale. And I've had so many cameras hooked up, so many different kinds, like in New Jersey. I had everything imaginable, and they were all hacked. Well, you know what? I know that it follows you wherever you go. I mean, I'm not naive to that anymore. Like I thought when I moved here that it would be better, but the people are disgusting here. Just disgusting. I can't say that about all the people in New Jersey because not everybody in New Jersey was harassing me. Not everybody in New Jersey treated me like shit. Only the neighbors that they moved in around me and the ones that they co-opted that I knew long time. But the ones that they co-opted, they were not harassing me. My long-term neighbors in New Jersey, they just ignored me. Yeah, yeah, and you know what? I have to tell you, I cannot stand cigarette smoke. You want to know something disgusting that they do here in Kentucky? It's absolutely vile. And I couldn't even believe that they even allowed it during the whole COVID debacle. Um, People here, they chew tobacco and they spit, and it's disgusting. And they think nothing about spitting on your property. They think nothing about putting out their cigarette butts. When you live in the middle of a forest, right? They think nothing about putting their damn cigarette butts out on your property. And yet these losers that follow me, I find their cigarette butts. I heard that about South Carolina. I am so glad I didn't move to South Carolina. I almost moved there. That's actually where I wanted to move. I wanted to move to South Carolina. I wanted to move to it's where the Boeing facility is located. I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like in this little community. I found out that it's mostly a married community, and then I figured, oh, that it's probably not the best place for me. The popping sound. Yes, the refrigerator. Yes, absolutely. A lot of popping sounds, and I don't have an ice maker. I don't have an ice maker, and I hear the popping sounds in my refrigerator. But it was in New Jersey too. I actually measured in New Jersey with a meter, and it would be totally off the charts. And then I would show my friends, if a friend would come and visit, and then of course it would be down to normal again. Behind the walls. Like right now my refrigerator's quiet. Do you guys have cameras? And are your cameras pointing outside or inside or both? I mean, I've had, orbs. I've seen orbs on my cameras, like flying around, and it's not dust, and it's not a bug. I know. I've pretty much given up. It's so expensive, and actually, where I live now, it's virtually impossible to have cameras where I live. It's too many acres. And then there are trees. So there are certain areas where it's too many trees, so you're not going to get anything. And then certain times of the year, like when the leaves drop, I can see more. When the leaves drop, I can see more of what's going on when the leaves have dropped. Yeah, they can set off any of those alarms remotely. I think I've told this story before. When I first moved here, I was sitting on the sofa right here, and I had my iPad with me. And I didn't have it on my lap. I had it propped up on a pillow next to me because I try to not keep the electronics like on my lap or anything like that. So it was propped up on a pillow, and it was I'm sitting on the sofa, and it's to my right. While I'm on the sofa, they send some they totally zap me on my ankle to the point where I jumped off the sofa. It was that direct, it was that hard. And then when I sat back down onto the sofa and went to use the iPad would not turn on. The iPad was totally fried. There was nothing I could do to revive it. It wouldn't turn on, wouldn't turn off, wouldn't do anything. I even sent it to a friend who's a technology kind of expert. He does this for a living. He could not revive it. He even sent it to one of his friends to revive. It would not revive. I do have a microwave, but I haven't used it in like a year and a half. It just sits on my kitchen counter unplugged. It's a very small one, but in New Jersey, I have to tell you, I use my microwave in New Jersey every day. In fact, now that I think about it, like I used to heat so many things in the microwave. If I'd had a cup of coffee that went cold, I'd stick it in the microwave for 20 seconds. But here, I just don't use it anymore. It's not even plugged in. I know that, like, it's a good place, like, if there's an if we have an EMP or whatever, a microwave oven is a good place, unplugged, to store your little devices. Yeah, I need to get out of here. I need to move away from here. I hate it. Do any of you guys get shot while driving down the road interstate? Well, I've been when I've driven into town, which is only 6 miles away, I will feel sometimes pinpricks. Like they do this pinprick to my eyes. So I have felt that. But actually, when I go into town, I feel better. Except that I've got criminals stalking me everywhere. There's always some sheriff's car. There's always somebody harassing me in the store. There's always some car hiding out behind a street sign. There's always somebody coming in and out of my house. Echoes, you heard gunshots last night? Yes, yes. Pinpricks, yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that about when you live in the car that the V2K stops because I lived in my car for 6 weeks when I first moved here. Like everybody thought I was nuts. Like I left a 5-bedroom gorgeous house in New Jersey. I come to Kentucky and I'm parked on my driveway living in my car for 6 weeks until my house could be delivered. But actually, I felt fine in my car. But I think it was, like, after 3 weeks of being in my car, they actually got into my car and they pinpricked my arm because I woke up with a needle mark on my arm. Well, this is the thing about the list, okay? Now, and Karen Stewart and other people have validated this, including, a former police officer in the Manalapan Police Department that some of these people just carry around folders with a file on you. You might not actually be on a bona fide list, but you're on somebody's secret list. It might not even be a government list, but it could be a secret list with a secret file that gets passed around, like a physical file. Well, if you're in a gated community, there's no reason to hear gunshots. No reason. I mean, when I lived in New York, obviously, I'd hear gunshots. Well, you asked me, do I come from an elite bloodline family? I don't know, but I do remember some of my past lives, and I know that I come from a very healthy family on both sides. Like, there's no disease on either side of my family. Nobody had cancer. Nobody had heart disease, although my father died from a heart attack because he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, which was unnatural, to smoke that many cigarettes. But no, nobody in my family have any kind of diseases or anything like that. So, like my mother that they murdered, literally, should have lived at least another 10 years, like my grandma. Um, I remember a past life though that I was affluent. Like I actually was married to some kind of a general down south. I had flashes of the house that I lived in and everything. I actually know who I was married to. That's a whole nother story. I actually met in this lifetime. Well, I don't know, staying in a hotel, I was targeted in a hotel. When I stayed in a hotel here in Kentucky when I was house hunting, this is the only way I call this is one of those bun babes, but she wasn't wearing a bun. She looked like she had this little hop, little skip, she had a little grin, the narcissist grin, and I passed her in the hallway of my hotel. And I went to sleep that night and I woke up and I could hardly move. I could hardly walk because that bitch targeted me with some energy weapon. And I know she did because when I actually moved to Kentucky, the first time I went into town, that same woman drove past me on this small county road with a smirky grin on her face. Exact same woman. So she was stalking me for 2 years. How do you guys refrain from physically attacking these people, the gang stalkers? Oh, I'm not, first of all, I'm not physical. I'm more verbal, and I will attack people legally. That's how I do it. I do it in writing, and I have a very long fuse, and then I'll file a lawsuit. I will definitely sue my neighbors. I will absolutely, if my house doesn't sell like in the next couple of months, which it probably won't, I will definitely sue my neighbors. And then I'm going to talk to some people about some other thing. I have to figure. I think it's considered to be a federal lawsuit. No, I have no interest in assaulting my neighbors. Zero. That's not my thing, and I'm not a guy. Maybe that's I don't have that kind of testosterone level. So it's sort of like last year when my stupid neighbor drove up the county road, parked her car, got out, and said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, you're Scarlett." And I'm out there sweating to death. It's like 95 degrees outside. I'm cutting my grass. I'm cutting weeds and stuff. And she wants to duke it out with me on the county road. And I'm thinking, are you are you moronic or whatever? Like, I'm in my 60s and you want to have a fight with me? Like, are you like in your right mind? Are you sick? Let's see. Don't yeah, the Scarlet Letter. Oh my goodness. She's so ugh, what an idiot. She's the one. She's Scarlet Fever. Oh yeah, there's so many ways to use that. Yeah, the Scarlet Letter, the Scarlet Fever, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Before I realized what targeting was all about, I always suspected that these people going postal and these shootings and stuff, that there was something not right about it. I had always thought that it was about the pharmaceutical industry, that it was the negative side effects of pharmaceutical drugs, which it could, of course, be that. It could be that as well as the targeting. I mean, being on any kind of pharmaceutical drugs, alcohol drugs will make any kind of targeting that much worse, which is why I have to like tell people, please stop drinking, don't do drugs, get off your meds if possible, eat healthy, don't drink soda, um, eat as healthy as you can afford. Um, because it's just worse. It just makes it way worse. And yeah, they will target you in the hotels. Well, no, see, the thing is, like, it doesn't matter if I say it out loud that my neighbors are going to get sued because all I have to do is think it. And it'll be broadcast. No, they owe me money and I want it. I want it. I want the money that they owe me and I'm going to get it. So save your money, little neighbors, because they've made enough money off of me that now they're going to get to pay me back for stealing from me. From stealing from me. Let's see. Well, it's true. You tell them that they're coming against God's elect and that you're scared for and praying for them. Just stand in the store and watch them swarm you, trying to trigger you and saying dumb stuff. Oh yeah, well in New Jersey, in New Jersey, I had a woman approach me. while I was shopping in Target, and she comes up to me and she says, "Do you happen to know where there's a place for blind people?" And it's like, where did that come from? And again, I didn't really know what street theater was at this time. And then there was another woman at Target and I had just purchased paper towels. But how would she know how would she know this? And she would ask me like, "Oh, well, do you know where the paper towels are?" Like stupid stuff just to interfere with whatever it is that you're doing. Just total interference. And then in New Jersey, I parked my car, and this is how swift they are, how fast they are. I parked my car and I did not take the card out of my dash cam because I was just running in, going into my post office box, get my mail, see if I had any mail in there, and walk out. But as I'm leaving my car, walking towards the front door of the post office, there's a woman that exits, and she's wearing a T-shirt that says "Chosen One." And I had just had a conversation with somebody the night before about calling us chosen ones. And here it is, this perp walking out of the post office with a T-shirt that says "Chosen One." So I go in, I open up my post office box, grab my mail, walk out, get into my car, and my SD card was stolen from my dash cam that fast. That chosen one stole my dash cam SD card that fast. Yeah, the t-shirt direct message. I see some YouTube creators intentionally wearing t-shirts with a message on it. Yeah. They like to draw caricature. Really? Well, what do I think it really meant? Okay. Well, some people, Christian people think that, oh, that we're the chosen ones, that we're the one out of whatever number of people that are chosen. Um, but no, actually, targeted people, everybody that's been targeted has been chosen for some torture program, whether it's revenge for hire, whatever it is. We were selected for a reason, whether we pissed somebody off. And let me tell you this quickly. Back in New Jersey, I had a friend. She had a full-time job. She didn't have children, so she was able to do a lot of the extracurricular activities. Okay, let me tell you what she did. She was a volunteer firefighter. She was a forensic. She was a crime scene investigator, and she comes from a military family. Her father's a retired police officer. Her brother's a retired marine or whatever. She worked in a real estate company, and I was friends with her for a few years. Very smart woman. She did really interesting stuff. So when all this targeting happened and my house kept getting broken into, I'd said, you know what? If anybody knows what's happening to me, she will. So I text her, and I tell her that, my house has been broken into a couple of times and I feel like I'm targeted. Do you know what that means? Like, I feel like I'm targeted. So she says, "Well, what's your zip code?" Put on my Timberland boots. I wear boots every day. Um, let's see. It's awesome being married to another intelligent person that sees this. We roll our eyes all the time. It's pathetic that they do. Their favorite activity is to take a deuce right in front of my apartment while I'm sitting. Yeah, they did that in New Jersey. They would always do that. They always would walk their dogs right in front of my property. So anyway, this woman, her name is Sue Ann. I guess she's obviously no longer my friend. So she says, let me have your zip code. So, and then I don't hear back from her for a while. And then she texts me back. She says, well, how about I come by later? I said, okay, sure. I want to show her the photos of my house being broken into. So she comes in, we exchange hellos and everything. So I show her the photos. And I know if anybody knows, she will know. So she's looking at my photos and I'm watching her look at my photos. And I know she knows what happened with my house. After looking at all that, she turns to me and says, "Who did you piss off?" She says, "Who did you piss off?" I said, "What?" Like, it's almost like she was accusing me of pissing somebody off to get my house broken into that caused me to be targeted. So all it takes these days is to piss somebody off. Do you have any idea how many times somebody has pissed me off? So many times people have pissed me off. Yes, it is their revenge for hire program. I've been saying this for a while. Yes, they want to steal the anointing. That's true. That is just so weird. Oh my goodness. Leave a body there for 5 hours? Oh my goodness. Well, that's really interesting. And I think that this is my thought on the targeting since birth. I don't think that people are targeted since birth. I think that they're followed. I think that we're followed since birth. A Scarlet was not in Neighborhood Wars. That is Mary. Yeah, that was Mary. John and Mary. No, not John and Mary like in the biblical terms. No, no, no. No, yeah. Yes, John is the one that tore down my newly installed cattle gate, and Mary is the one who is posting no trespassing signs on my property, screaming at me, and also threatening my workers that if they continue to clean my property, that they'll be part of her lawsuit. Well, 5.5 years later, I'm still waiting for their land survey. Some of these stories are just so crazy. I don't know if you guys listen to some of the testimony stories that David A does. Well, some of them are just usual things that you hear, but out of every one of them, you could always get something new from hearing somebody's testimony. They're hearing their stories and stuff. I don't know. I think that they follow us from birth. These Illuminati people, they study astrology. They study symbolism. They know when you were born, your date, time, and place of birth. Um, they know your birth chart. They know what your potential is. They know what you're supposed to do in this lifetime. They know. And I think that you're targeted at specific times. Although there are people that grow up in military homes, satanic homes that may actually be targeted from birth. They grow up in a ritually abusive home. Who made 3 new videos? Chris, Crystal, Crystal. Was Crystal? Was she interviewed? Is that her last name? Bottom Crystal. Why is it Crystal? Wasn't she interviewed by David? Crystal Farley. Uh, Let me see. Yes. Yes, in fact, Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yeah, she was the is she the one that had her own business? She had her own business, and she was very successful and had, um yeah, yeah, I think she said she had an $800,000 home, um, and that I think, she has a son. Yeah, it sound horrible. Like, she's, like, the only targeted person that she's the only other targeted person that's getting the satanic stuff. Although maybe other people are and are not aware of it and don't mention it, but the witchcraft, I call it bitchcraft. I've been getting the bitchcrafts all over New Jersey and here. And right now, these effers are vibrating my private parts. Right this minute. These criminals. Yeah, they target women particularly. Well, when you say that somehow the program feeds off how much energy you give it, the unfortunate thing is they do so many things to distract you from whatever it is you're doing. Um, well, I agree that targeted people are becoming more organized. The the fact that a lot of things are going mainstream, that the news actually reported that Trump's supporters were hit with a directed energy weapon on their eyes, that is huge. Huge, huge, huge. Because that's exactly what's happened to me. And I'm definitely going to contact that Mike Adams. And I'm going to send him photos. In fact, let me write myself a note. I was going to do it today, and that's when they put me to sleep, actually. I have to find his email address. Yeah, because somebody sent me his newsletter. I was receiving his newsletter, and I think I get it in one of my other email addresses. I've got too many email addresses. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let me just read some of these comments. TIs are organizing lately. This program stands no chance now. That's it. It feels like a distraction from my purpose. That's what I'm saying. If ever I've been on X, I've seen hearing all you guys' stories and seeing how they figured out that they were being targeted, ways to try and combat. And still, I wonder what their obsession with the eyes. Well, the eyes are the window to the soul. The eyes are the window to the soul, and the eyes see. And they want to be able to see through our eyes because they're psychopaths. They don't feel or see what we see. So they want to see through our eyes. Let's see, you want to live a normal life. It made me realize how strong the human being can really be, which is why I think they know they choose you. It takes that many of them, but just wanting until one of them drops. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. Light of your soul is in your eyes, yes. Are any of you targeted individuals raped? Well, they can do that remotely. Um, yeah, there's one guy I know that happens to him all the time. Ugh, it's disgusting what they do. These people are sick. They're very depraved, sinister, manipulative, conniving. Um, they're not in their right mind, and they're perverts. I mean, I've said it before. Well, I've mentioned before that especially the Freemasons and stuff. Their symbolism. They're all into astrology and numerology, so they know your birth chart from when you're born. They know what your propensities are. They know what you can and cannot accomplish. Oh, just Kip, when they can't crack you, they move on to your family members. Oh, I love your channel, by the way. You have some really good videos. You have a hard time believing they're all human. You know what? I agree. Yes, yes, a lot of SRA victims that are TIs, leave her alone in Yeshuva's holy name. They can move your body, steal money from you without you even. Well, let me tell you, when I moved here, my mother, who was very supportive of me, knew what was happening. She bought me a beautiful EMF bracelet, and I only wore it for a few days. The criminals put me to sleep and stole the bracelet off my wrist. I never saw it again. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, you've got good videos. I just came across your channel recently. Somebody referred me to your channel, Just Kip. The host is human for clone, but they're possessed. They stare at us like in that movie, The Fallen. Look up the guy that murdered his wife in his sleep. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. You lack so much respect for them. It doesn't even matter. Chemtrail, amen. I have zero respect for them. And see, the thing with me is, like, I have a very long fuse, and I try to like everybody, but if when I lose respect for someone, I never get it back. It ain't never gonna come back. That's sort of like what happened with my ex-husband. Like, I totally lost respect for him, and I had to divorce his ass. That was it. When I lose respect for somebody, I'm gone. Poof. That's it. Gone. You're crying tears of joy because you know the Father has more power over them. And these people, well, they're paid or reward. Oh yes. Oh, absolutely. All of the above. All of the above. Now, some people will do some of this for free because they're getting sadistic pleasure out of it. They get off on it, right? There are some of them that are getting paid in gift cards. I heard that if they take a picture of you, they'll get $100. Um, I mean, I was thinking, like, how much did my neighbor get paid for finally getting me to take a cat that was stray in front of her house? She kept asking me, telling me that it was my cat. I kept telling her, no, it's not my cat. And then a day later, she'd say, oh, well, it's so cute or whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's this or that. And it's like, I took a look at it. She said, oh, it's so friendly. And I ended up taking it. And it turns out I think it's the mother of the kitten that I found on my property. Yeah, absolutely all of the above. People are bribed, they're threatened, they're blackmailed, they're coerced. Um, you know, everybody has secrets, right? Not everybody lived a good life. Everybody did stupid stuff in their life. But some people have done worse things than others. There are a lot of people that have cheated on. Oh yeah, the black kittens. They're so cute. I I really love them. They are so cute. I've got to get pictures of them. It's so hard to photograph black cats. You have to get them in the light a certain way. And the little one that I named Vesta, she doesn't even let me pick her up. She gets all squirmy, and she's like such a kitten sometimes. And other times she'll like lay there with her, like tonight she just lay there and let me pet her. And her mommy, she's friendlier. She follows me, like, as soon as I go into their building, she follows me. She walks between my legs, like I trip over her. She's so pretty. They're just so pretty. They've got like very long fur on their tails. Like, I've never had a cat, an indoor cat with long hair. I've always had like short-haired cats. Yeah, they get paid to harm your property or pets, but it's way too vast to all be paid. It would mean an endless budget. Well, the budget is endless. The budget is endless. And just remember that they have stolen a lot of items from me. They've stolen a lot of new, like just a couple of weeks ago, they stole a brand new wallet off of my bed. I'm sure that wallet went to pay off one of these criminals. They stole noise canceling headphones, brand new in the package, like $89 in my bedroom. They stole it, brand new. Um, you guys got to stop complaining. I got to I can't even get my parents to believe this. Oh, don't try to convince people of what's happening to you. And pretty much any music on the radio. Don't try to convince people what's happening to you. You can show them, and you can explain it in terms of well, people kind of understand what blacklisted mean. People understand what bullying means. People understand what mobbing means. But as far as the electronic portion, you could just point them to articles. You don't have to try to convince anybody about it. Um, I don't listen. I don't listen to the radio. Oh, I listen to a lot of musicians on YouTube. I guess even David A started to mention it because I referred it to him. Handpan music. It's not even an electronic instrument. It's like a metal pan, double sided pan with little depressions all over it, and it's beautiful. It actually stimulates both sides of your brain at the same time. And there are a lot of people that play the handpan who have YouTube channels. Not all of them are wonderful, but it all sounds nice. And then there are binaural beats. There are a lot of channels with binaural beats that you can listen to, and there are some channels that actually have music that will play for 8 hours straight. So, like, you could listen to it while you're sleeping. There was one, I don't know, I just stumbled across it. I like to listen to it while I'm like taking my Epsom salt detox bath. But I looked at it, I wanted to see when it started, and it started like days ago. So there is one creator, like it has a meditation music that plays for days and days. So you can kind of tune in at any time. Yes, yes, yes. Let me just see. All you have to do is save your money and leave. You just want to intensify whatever emotions they have made uncomfortable for them as much as possible. Wait, excuse me. I need to take a drink here. Yes, I'm finding that I can spot the trolls now that leave messages. What they're doing now to me, they're not only leaving trolling messages on my channel, but they are stalking me with the people that I follow on YouTube, which is like dozens of people. And if I leave a comment for another creator, I will have some loser who has an old profile with nobody following them, with some weird name, leave me a derogatory, nasty comment. Let's see. Like when they become hateful and desperate, you make it all that much worse for them, really just keeps the pressure going. Yeah, it's just skits all the time. Like even on my eBay store, I get people buying stuff and they have no interest in buying it. What it is they buy things that they've already stolen from my eBay store here at my inventory. So they'll steal my inventory, then set up a perp on my eBay store to buy the item, and then when I go to look for it, it's gone. And it's usually somebody with a newly created eBay account. You're going live tonight. Do you have oh, you're going live tonight and every night forever. Yes, I was stalked by the Gorilla Boy. I call him the Gorilla Boy. I was very bad. It was extremely horrific for a year. And then I started ignoring him. I did report him to the police. I reported him to the attorney general. Um, I started doing videos about him, exposing him. He didn't like that one bit. But it started off where um, he would leave nasty comments on my videos. Then he would start tagging all of my subscribers and harassing them. Then he'd start creating videos about me, and then having other people join in. And then he actually called me on the phone. He called me. He found my phone number and left me a voice message. And then he was leaving me text messages. And then he was sending me email messages. Yeah, so he was just disgusting. I'm glad, but I'm not the only one. He would do it to other people too, other targeted people. But the way I see it is all of these cyber stalkers, whatever, they're paid. So they may have a contract where they have to harass you for this amount of time. But then after this amount of time, they're not in your contract anymore. Maybe there's going to be somebody else. Let's see. Yes, he had a gallery of yes. Yes. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I reported him. I literally was reporting him several times a day, every day, for a year. Lorraine, do you know that lady? What lady? What lady? Do I know? Let me see. I must have missed something. Um, do you know that lady? I'm just trying my best to be as tactical and smart as possible going forth, keeping the evidence forthright before anything like that happens. Oh, yeah. Um, Chemtrail hater saying, "You just said stop complaining. That's what you said, but at the same time you're complaining." Well, it's everybody thinks that their targeting is the worst, but it's just bad for everybody. It's bad for everybody. Um, Black people have it worse. Well, unfortunately, black people have been targeted forever. And I'm going to tell you, I'll just tell you a quick story. Like when I lived in Queens, I was, I don't know, in my 20s. Um, I dated a black guy. I actually, it was a really, really bizarre thing. I actually met him in Port Authority. I was with my friend Isabel. We just came back from visiting her home in New Jersey. She lived in New York City. And we're running through the airport because it's snowing outside. And I'm walking one direction, this guy's walking the other direction. When you look at somebody a little bit longer than you should, and he was just like this really good looking guy. He was wearing like black leather pants, and he was really handsome. He was a black guy. And then, so I'm trying to catch up with my friend Isabel, and she's like running through Port Authority, and I'm like running after her. And I said, like, hold up, like, why are you running? She says, that guy is following us. I said, "What are you talking about?" So I look behind. I don't see anybody. So we get outside, and she is amazing. She just got this. She hailed a taxi in the snow. I couldn't believe she got a taxi for us. So she gets in, then I get in, and then that guy that I looked at for a little too long, he hops in. He hops into the taxi with us, and Isabel's like totally freaking out, and I'm like laughing. I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness!" Like that guy followed us out of Port Authority. I looked at him too long, and here he is sitting next to me in the taxi. And Isabel is like totally freaking out, like hitting me and stuff. And he says, "Do you mind if you drop me off?" I said, "No, no problem." And like Isabel is like saying, "Yes, I do mind." So he gets in and we drop him off, and he ends up paying for our taxi. And he asked me for my phone number. I gave it to him. Isabel later says, "You didn't give him your real phone number, did you?" I said, "Of course I did." So she thought I was nuts. But anyway, so he actually did call me and we started dating. So anyway, getting a fast forward, we go to the pizzeria in Queens, and he's in front of me. And the guy who's serving the pizza totally ignored him. And he's not a dark black guy, and he's really handsome. And he's actually a model. I didn't know that he was a model. And he's in front of me, and he's not getting waited on. The guy is calling on everybody except him. His name is Michael, calling on everybody. So I walk in front of Michael, and I'm furious at this time. And I walk up to the guy who's serving. I said, "We have been waiting here, and you are not waiting on us because of his color." I was just so infuriated. And I thought to myself, this guy is just standing there being so patient, being so polite, as if this happens to him all the time. And it happens in front of me just once. And there was no way I was going to tolerate like anybody being treated that way. Just totally pissed me off. It's totally pissed me off. So when you said that black people have it worse, like I felt it for the first time then about what they did to him, just waiting online to order pizza. I couldn't believe it. And what but again, this was a while ago. I mean, obviously, I was in my 20s then. I'm in my 60s now, so it was a long time ago, but still, I was furious. I couldn't even deal with it. I couldn't believe that like people were treat people like that. It just really bothered me. Let's see. I went to Norman. Who's Norman? I went to Norman to tell people the homeless are being raped. Block, just a foul, vulgar, dismissive narcissist. Well, what I was getting at is that I was dating a black guy, okay? Was dating a black guy, and he was light. He was light skinned, and we're waiting online to get pizza, and they were not calling on him. They wouldn't want to serve him. I couldn't believe it. I was furious. Seems like they're trying to get your life shut down. Let's see, but you're only responsible for yourself. I could not believe it. I was young at the time. And, you hear about how, blacks were mistreated. You read about it, you hear about it, but until you experience it yourself, you don't really know. And like it was right in my face. I couldn't believe it. It was so infuriating to me. Just so infuriating. There's some there's some really good videos about targeting. I have 3. It's like a sequence of videos on my channel, and it's by an ex-military guy, and he just spells it out right after, one by one by one. The unfortunate thing is many of his videos are um, they're no longer on YouTube. Some of them went to what is it called? Odyssey. Yeah, I think it was on Odyssey. But some of the really good ones, people have been taking some of them down. I don't know if YouTube takes them down. Um, the way if Wary will have the block option for agitated. Oh yes, yes, that's exactly what I do. When I find one of those creatures stalking me, whether it's on my channel in the comments section or when I post a comment on anybody else's video. It could be a homesteader, it could be a farmer, it could be one of these cop auditors. Anytime I leave a message, I get one of these stalkers leaving me or commenting on my comment. And what you do is you click on the link, wherever they left their comment, click on their name. It will take you to their profile. Then you click on the about section. There's a little drop down, and then in the drop down it says report. When you click on report, it gives you another drop down where you can block the person or report them. So now if they've left a really derogatory comment, you can actually report them, but I tend to block them from my channel. So that means that anytime that they've left a message, the message will automatically disappear. Oh, right. You won't have to see what they say. But what happens is, if you block them after they have posted the message, you'll still see the message you might actually get the message to your email address, because I don't know about you guys, but when you post comments to me, I always receive an email. But it might not be for 20 minutes, a half an hour, even an hour later. So it will appear again. So even if you block the person and you no longer see their message, it will be sent to your email address. Yes, it erases their message. Exactly. So I don't take. Like the criminals here in Kentucky, I don't take anything they do to me personally. First of all, I have no respect for them. So because I have no respect for them, anything that they say about me means absolutely nothing. I don't take it personally because it's not about me. They don't even know who I am. Well, that's really interesting. We had this conversation a while ago, and a lot of us are Cancer or Capricorn. And it's interesting because Cancer is ruled by the moon and Capricorn ruled by Saturn, right? And the moon and Saturn, and also Cancer, Capricorn are cardinal signs. They're the doers, and Cancer is the home, and Capricorn is real estate, actually. And they absolutely target these two people because Cancer and Capricorns are well, and also there are other signs that are money makers. You know, they're hard workers and money makers. Well, happy birthday, Libra. So your birthday's coming up. I just posted a video on Libra. I've got my moon there. Virgo, Virgo. I've had a lot of Virgo friends. Oh, there's Sagittarius. Oh, that's so fun. Do you have any idea how many Sagittarian guys I've dated? Like there was like I don't know what it was, but there was a couple of years in a row, like every guy I dated was a Sag. It's like, how has this happened? Like every one of them was a Sag, and every one of them traveled. Everyone traveled for a living. Oh, I'm so glad. I'll have more coming on the astrology. Well, I really do miss astrology. I was really good at it, and I loved it. I did it every day. Um, I loved writing articles. I liked teaching it. I loved attending conferences and stuff. I mean, of course, I don't have the time to do it anymore, but I'll do some more on the topic. And it's good for a little bit of a change. It's really important to learn about this technology and know what's happening to us because it's changing every day, and it's good to share experiences and to form community and stuff. But it's also good to take a break from it. So, and along those lines, there is a YouTube creator called the Kipness. Oh, your birthday's in 2 days. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! So you know that you just you had the eclipse. So you have an eclipse birthday. So anyway, so there's the Kipnis. Yes, the Kipnis. Yes, the Kipnis. He's what he I met him first on TikTok. And what he would do is he would scan the TikTok videos of all the animals, especially the cats. Like he has an affinity for the cats. And cats, their cat meows. And the first thing he did is he found this cat named Kala. And Kala had this beautiful little meow, and he put words to the meow, and then he put music to the meow, and it was about sometimes I'm alone, and it was about this cat Kala, and then he would do with other cats, and then he put a compilation of them, and then other musicians would join in. Well, recently he took you know how Trump was talking about how they're eating the dogs and eating the cats? Well, he created a song about that. Yes, yes, we just had an eclipse. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. It's absolutely hysterical. And not only is it getting thousands and thousands and thousands of views, like he has a concert. And in concert, everyone in his audience was, was singing along, like meowing to they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats, and then he'd have a cat in the corner. It's absolutely hysterical. Let's see if I can if I can find it. One second. Let me I was actually watching his shorts today. It puts me in a good mood. Oh, and then there's this other one. You have to see this, guys. One second. 1 second. It's just gonna take me a while to load this. I've got a really slow laptop. Yeah, the Kiffness. Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, eclipses are very important. Lunar eclipse will the energy of a lunar eclipse. You'll feel it sometimes on the day of the eclipse, but definitely within a week and 9 months. And then the lunar eclipse, you can feel like a whole for a whole year. 1 second, let me just. Yeah, I'll get it for you guys. 1 second. I'll play it. I think you'll be able to hear it. 1 second. And then I'll put the link down below. They have to have this advertisement playing in the background. Sorry about that, guys. Here. I just want to say that he's donating the proceeds from this song to the people in Ohio and the animals in Ohio. So I'm not going to play the rest of it. I don't want to get copyright or anything like that. But this is trending. And he's done this in concert. And let's see. Oh, here's Kala. One second. I love this cat. This cat died recently. So I'm going to leave that so that I don't get any copyright strike. But this guy is amazing. He takes animals, cats mostly, and gives them a voice. And he puts words to their meow and then creates a song around it. And sometimes he has other animals that come into the video and other musicians that play with him, which is really fascinating. Let's see. Did anyone's targeting start around 2022 after refusing the you know what? Well, that's interesting. I, no, I've been targeted since 2009, approximately. Your ears have been ringing since junior high in the early 80s. Well, wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, the thing about the poke, and a lot of doctors have looked at this under microscope, that it's filled with nanotechnology. It's filled with graphene, and any targeting will be, I don't know, amplified if you've got all that stuff in your body, which is why like detoxing is so important, whether, internally and externally. I know I don't do the internal enough. I can't stand tasting the stuff sometimes. It's just too much. But I do take a lot of detox baths. Yeah, the graphene oxide, just absolutely horrible, horrible. And they're finding that when they do autopsies, that there is string like substances in the vein, so they can't even embalm people. Oh, you did. Now, what did you find about through your research? Yes, yeah, keeping your mind on positive things, it really does help. And that's why, like here, I get distracted because I've got animals to take care of. I got chickens to take care of. Of course, they can be a lot of fun and a lot of distraction, but it's a lot of work too. So it's not that I'm not accustomed to taking care of animals and doing the work. It's just doing the work on top of being targeted sometimes is problematic when I'm watching them deteriorate my property. That Yeah, the body area networks. Well, Sabrina Wallace talks about what they're trying to do. I mean, she really goes off on it. It's so disturbing. It's just so disturbing. Exactly. And the attacks that they overwhelm us with are not just physical. They're emotional. They're visual, noise, harassment, vandalism. It is. It's overwhelming. It's chaos. They're addicted to chaos. Yes, the self-assembling nanotech. Now, there were videos that said that some of the people who passed away, who had the arm candy, um, that if you go into the cemetery, that they were hearing like they were hearing like almost a cell phone signal from the deceased that were buried. 6 or 7 ads now. Well, we're on now for 2.5 hours. So they will put an ad up, I think usually after half an hour or so. It's like they decide where the ads are gonna go. I mean, I could tell them that I only want it at the beginning or only at the end, but I just tell them to do, like, moderate, whatever that means. So is that since you're here right now? I mean, the one thing about the ads, it does help, get a little bit of money. If you listen to like a 30-second ad, we'll get a couple of dollars. So, like, I'll tell people, like, you know, targeted people, you don't have the money to donate and stuff. I get that. But if you can listen to my videos to the end, and or listen to some of the advertisements, that really does help. And I do it to other people too. Like, I'll listen to their advertisements, until it clicks on. Especially when I go, like, onto animal rescue videos, I'll just play them over and over again, like I did tonight on TikTok. I'll just play them over and over again. Lorraine, I just tried to join your channel. Doesn't show up on your. Wait. Just try to join your channel. Does it show up? No, I don't see it here in the chat. And let me tell you that I don't get notifications of people joining my channel anymore. I have no idea when somebody joins other than seeing that the number changes. Then I came back, just got 3 to 4 since you got back. Oh, that's so interesting. It could be because I'm online now. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So, I mean, that could be it. Yeah, I mean, I'll do that with a lot of creators. I'll just listen to the ads, and you know what? Sometimes I want to hear the ads. Sometimes they're actually, through some of the ads, I've actually bought stuff. So, especially if it pertains to me, if it's something that I'm interested in, some of the new technologies, some of the things that they're selling, they're not selling other places. So I don't mind listening to some of the ads as long as they're not really long. Well, of course, they figure out your flaws and capitalize on it. Only 14 likes. Guys, you got to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. I think there's a raccoon on my porch. I just heard something on my porch. Fear how these societal people work, and honestly, I wouldn't give it any mercy. Have you heard of anyone disassociating from this? Let's see. Yeah, I have a family of raccoons. And I don't mind the raccoons, and I don't mind feeding the raccoons. I have a fox that I feed, a resident fox, but the raccoons can be a little destructive. Like, they end up, I don't know how they do it because they're so chubby, but they end up creeping into some of the buildings and they make a mess. They knock stuff over, they sleep in there. And it's like, I have to just, now the raccoons are targeting you. No, the raccoons have been here since the day I moved here. I mean, I live on the edge of a national forest, so I've got raccoons and possums and a fox. Well, a couple of foxes, but I don't mind them. I don't mind feeding them. Like, I'm feeding the fox now. I figure if I feed the fox, he won't eat my chickens. And actually, one day this week, the fox must have finished the eggs that I gave him or her, and was actually on my porch eating the cat food. I was surprised. Yeah, raccoons. Well, raccoons have long claws, and I've seen these, YouTube and TikTok videos of people finding a cute little baby raccoon and raising it as their own in the house, putting clothes on it and a diaper and all these other things. It's like, That thing's got claws. It's a wild animal. I mean, it belongs outside. You know, they're really cute, and yeah, I can see how you can raise them as pets and stuff, but not really in the house. Not after they become full grown. They need to be outside in a tree or something. Yeah, they do that. They can dig. They can definitely dig. But they're even better than digging. They're good at climbing. They like to climb. Yeah, they're good climbers. They're good climbers because their nails are so long, their claws. Oh, really? You just tried to send me a super chat and it's not allowing me. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Well, that's horrible. They are smart. They're very smart. Well, thank you for thinking of me. Um, I'll have to contact YouTube about that. Let's see. Just tried to send you a super chat and it's not allowing me to contact YouTube. Let me write that down. And this is what time? 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll have to report that to YouTube. Yes, their tactic is to isolate, and that's the tool of the narcissist also, is to isolate the victim. I mean, you'll hear about this, even people that are not like targeted, if they get into a relationship with a narcissist, they will isolate you from your family and friends, almost like they hold you hostage. Um, yes, here, let me get some of that for you guys. Let me see. One second. Let me get a link for you guys. One second. I'll cut and paste this in the chat for you guys. Okay, so we've got this. So we've got a Cash App. That's one. And then we've got a PayPal here. And let's see here. I think this is, let's see. Oh, good night. Oh no, I don't hear any voice. I don't hear any voices. I only see what's scrolling on the screen. But I'm going to be signing off too because it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I would like to wash my hair. Yes, yes, I'm going to contact YouTube. I wrote it down here. In fact, after we all sign off and stuff, I'm going to contact YouTube that the super chat's not working. Let's see. I'm going to see. going to see if it works for me. Okay, I'm going to cancel it because I'm not going to do it for myself. But I just actually clicked on the super chat to see if I could send myself one. And it came up. It came up for me. So it's probably not coming up on your ends. But yeah, I just clicked on for the super chat. There's a little dollar sign there that you click on the dollar sign. I just clicked on it and it just popped up for me. So it might be something on your end. But anyway, I appreciate the thoughts and everything. Thank you everybody for joining in. So I read just for those who came in a little bit later. So in case you want to listen to this again, I read from the book MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control, Volume 1, MK Ultra 2.0 Experiments in the 21st Century included. And I read about the passwords being hacked and your thoughts being hacked, the end of privacy, the theft of credit cards and pins, ATM withdrawals, theft of confidential information, and theft of intellectual property, and the hacking of profiles and passwords from computers, websites, and systems. So, the next time I have a chat, I'll read from where we left off. So, anyway, hope everybody has a great night. And thank you all for joining in. Good night, everybody. And I will definitely notify, thank you so much. I'll definitely notify YouTube that you were having difficulty sending a super chat. All right. Good night for now, guys.